things I wanted to clarify.
Yes, I thought.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We're using an electronic amplifying and recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record, and we request all those wishing to speak be recognized and state your name and address directly into the microphone. The recording device is to be solely utilized by the Township Clerk for the preparation of minutes. It shall be the official record of the Township Council meetings. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison.
Present.
Mr. Schmidt.
Present.
Mrs. Stubbs. Present. Mrs. Winters. Here. Mr. Mignon.
Here.
Mrs. Strato. Here. Mr. Mercado.
Present.
Mr. Lechner.
Here.
Chief Earl.
Here.
Mr. Carlemere.
Here.
Mr. Cardis.
Here.
We're starting off our meeting with a presentation for our Martin Luther King Day of Service.
Hey, Cheryl.
Can you go in your office and turn this on and let's go see what it looks like? Because somebody turned it up. It's the camera.
Oh, I don't have the control for it.
And you're going to pull it up on the website.
Oh, the live,
Good evening, everyone. 5 years ago, I came up to the mayor and I had an idea. It's not a new idea. This is something that we did when I was an undergrad at Stockton College. We used to do a day of service on Martin Luther King Day. And later on I went back to work at Stockton College, and this thing continued to get bigger and bigger each year. And so I said to David, I said, why don't we have a MLK Day of Service here? We started off with 5 projects, and then we bumped it up to 7 because there was an interest in it. And I was expecting to have maybe 50 people show up. We had 125 our first year. This past year, which is our 5th anniversary of Martin Luther King Day service, we had 25 projects throughout the township. And this past weekend, I had to provide outcomes because the free T-shirts that we received for the event come from Philadelphia. It's called Global Citizen 365. And I kind of lowballed the number the day of the event. I said we had 539 individuals. I didn't take into account the walk-ins that we had and the tremendous support that we received from Highland High School and Tryon High School. We had 682 volunteers that were totaled up that day. And it's probably still a little light because there were some folks that didn't register that were there helping out and participating in various ways. So I want to thank everyone that came out that day. But today I wanted to publicly acknowledge, along with the mayor and the members of council, the individuals that had stepped up and volunteered to be project leaders. And as a project leader, you have to get your crew together, tell them where to go and what to do, and make sure that the time that they have is an impactful time and a meaningful time for them. So I'm going to call your name up, talk briefly about the project, and then call you up, and we have certificates. Shake the mayor's hand, and Michelle will help me with these, okay? Okay. This is a new project that we had this year. This was blankets. And 21 blankets were made for the women's shelter that were donated. They were no-sew blankets that they were tied together. And Corey Haverluck, all right, she didn't make it. Okay, Corey Haverluck from Lauren Fleming was the project leader. So we'll send that to Corey. Or give it to her colleagues. Okay. Blenheim Fire Company. Blenheim Fire Company has been a project of ours for the last 3 years. And the last 2 years, DJ Gorge, the baseball coach of Highland High School, has brought over 30 minimum of his baseball players. And they're out there in the cold. They're washing the trucks. They're cleaning the yards. They had 33 this year. DJ, if you can please come up. Thank you very much. Also, Chief Gary Smith is the chief of Blenheim Fire District, and he serves as the on-site project coordinator. Okay. The Canham County Animal Shelter. This is the most popular project, and it closes out within a week or two after opening up registration. It's at the Canham County Animal Shelter. We have to put a max at it, so it fills up. We had 46 individuals. It's supposed to be 40, but people found the way to make the way there. Kelly Matthews was the project leader. She could not be here today. Okay. In addition, it's okay to applaud. All right. The Canham County Animal Shelter also had another project. It's called Kongs. I never heard of this terminology before, but they stuff toys with peanut butter, and they serve. Oh, you doing that, sure? Okay. And they stuff it. And the project leader, who's also the project leader last year, is Councilwoman Tracy Trotto. Another popular project. There was 47 individuals that participated in that. Creating cards for our soldiers. This is a project that has been geared towards our younger children, and also families can participate in it, and they write cards of hope to our men and women that are serving in our armed forces. Rachel Mallard was the project leader. This is her first year doing this. She had volunteered and said, hey, can I help out? And she participated and led a group of 44 members that day. She's not here today. She sends her regrets. We send out an email to the ministerium, and we ask the local churches if they're interested in having a project done. And Choose United Methodist Church said, sure, we'll take it. So we painted their Davison room, which is their reception room that they have, Fellowship Hall. And we had 35 individuals. Jim Gallagher was our project leader. But in addition to that, there was a host of Triton students that were running around with paint all over the place. And it worked out well, right, Jim? Just nod your head, yes. Okay. They kept you on your toes, correct? Jim Gallagher, project leader. Thank you. And I sold it to Chief by saying he's also a building inspector, you know, so that he knows what he's doing. Thank you, Jim. Gabriel Davies Tavern, Sharon Mickle. This is located in Gloucester Township. It's a historic tavern that's located off of 4th Street. And each year we ask Sharon Mickle if they can open up the tavern. They can clean up there. They can also archive things. And Sharon is always gracious to entertain folks. We have to limit it because it's a small place. But Sharon, thank you very much. We had 16 volunteers. Giggle Books. This was a project that was brought to us a few years ago by Angela Rose Bounds, and Angela served as a quasi-project leader there, but also part of our MLK Day committee. But we also had a teacher at Blackwood Elementary that came up to me one day and says, I want to help out. I don't know, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And of course, we had her lead up the project of Giggle Books. Giggle Books are books that are designed for children that are in local hospitals or also in CHOP. They have little stories in there, rhymes and jokes. So, Angela, if you can come up as well as a member of the MLK Day Committee. Thank you, Angela. And the project leader from Blackwood Elementary was Christine Corrigan, who cannot be. She's playing volleyball tonight. Glendora Fire Company heard about all the things that were happening at Blenheim, and they're an all-volunteer firehouse, so they said, okay, we'll have some volunteers come. So Triton High School sent over 23 students. Chief Mike Riccardelli served as the project leader. Mike could not be here today. Thank you very much, Mike. The Gloucester Township Scholarship Committee. Each year, the Gloucester Township Scholarship Committee has a 5K race. It raises about $12,000 to $13,000 a year, and it goes towards providing scholarships for high school seniors in Gloucester Township. So last year, they provided $46,000 in scholarships. So $1,000 scholarships to 46 individuals. This project was designing signs along the course route. And so we had 6 individuals. It was led by Jasmine Robinson, who could not be here, but she said give her certificate to Judy Calabrese when Judy comes up. Okay? All right. Thank you. The next one is our Gloucester Township Senior Campus Center. 4 years ago, I received an email from a teacher, Lauren Fleming, who said she was interested in having her students come to Senior Campus. Senior Campus is located at the Lakeland campus. So originally we said, let's have a Zumba session there. And some of our seniors were into it, some were not into it. But this teacher brought her entire class to go there, and each year in the last 4 years has invited them to come back, even those that have graduated from Lauren Fleming or moved on to Glen Landing, to come back and participate. Zumba has evolved now into bingo, which they're more receptive to. But in addition to that, they make cards for Valentine's Day or cards for spring. This is Sandy Augustino. 52 individuals participate. This was the second highest project. Gloucester Township Veterans Monument is a general cleanup of our monument area here. Due to the cold that day, we shifted that, and some of those individuals worked on different projects. The project leader was our youngest project leader. He's a sophomore at Sterling High School, 15 years of age, and he said, I'll go out there, just send me out there with some rakes. But he stayed and he did some things for us within the gym that day. Sam Whalen, who could not be here. Our next project was Hats for the Homeless. This project came to my attention because an individual was nominated for Women Who Make a Difference and indicated that they collect hats, scarves, gloves, new hats, scarves, gloves, and to provide that to the individuals at Cathedral Kitchen. So I'd asked, is this a project that we can do for our own Martin Luther King Day? So we sent an email to the school districts and we asked them to donate new hats, scarves, and gloves. And leading up that project was Natalie Ritz with 11 individuals. Helping our neighbors. This is a project that's led by Choose United Methodist Church, where they collect toiletries, they bag them, they distribute them, and they provide them to the neighborhood center in Camden. A lot of the toiletries come from Gloucester Township Public Schools, as we had children collected, but there's also toiletries that are also available at Choose United Methodist Church. Leading that project was Beth Conley. She could not be here today, but Anita Braun will be here to accept it on her behalf. Anita, we also have a certificate for you because you do some project stuff at Choose. So we'll find that and give that to you. Congratulations. Lake Matilda. This project, okay. This project is, does anyone know, show of hands where Lake Matilda is? Oh, okay. Some of our long-time residents know, Jim knows. Lake Matilda is located off of Jarvis Road. It was an old German campground, correct, Mayor? German campground that the Boy Scouts, along with Public Works, helped to renovate. So we've had this as a project. There's plenty of leaves, and if we had them collect all the leaves, they'll probably still be out there collecting leaves. But they pick up leaves, they clean up the branches. It was a very cold day. So Kirk Cooper, who's the project leader, I said, Kirk, I was texting him back and forth over the weekend. I said, you sure you want to go out there? He's like, well, we'll see what happens. And the wind chill factor, I think it was like 15 degrees that day. Kirk went out there with his group, and Highland High School sent about 50 students out there. There was a total of, this was the largest project, 75 individuals that were out there. Kirk, come on up. And also, Tom Wonderland. So it was great seeing them. They had, snot all over the place. It was cold, but they had a great time out there. The Living Word Food Pantry, that's located at 123 Church Street. They have been a project for the last 5 years. and that was headed up by our own Assemblywoman, Gabrielle Mosquera. There's 24 individuals that participated there. Congratulations. And Gabby has been a project leader for all 5 years. I guilt her into it. Okay. The next is our peanut butter and jelly. There's 2 peanut butter and jelly projects. One goes to Cathedral Kitchen, where they made, well, we indicated 400. Aaron, we probably went over 400, correct? Yes. Yeah, well over 400. And we had enough peanut butter and jelly. We always run out each year, or we run out of bread, and we have to go back out and get some more. Miss Larison, who has said, don't run out of bread or peanut butter and jelly this year. But they're donated to Cathedral Kitchen. I had an estimate of 475 that were donated, and it's an assembly line that's put together. Aaron has led this for the last 2 years, and he has this down pat, so it's yours for life. Aaron, please come up. Thank you. And the other peanut butter and jelly project is for the neighborhood center. The neighborhood center is located in Camden. It's part of the ministries of the United Methodist Church. And I had reached out to Choose United and said, hey, do they need anything? Because we always have extra peanut butter and jelly to go around. So last year we added as a project, 250 was the minimum, but they packed 250. Miss Larison, Shelby Larison from Lauren Fleming School. I just want to add the support that we receive from our elementary schools and the Gloucester Township Public Schools, the high schools, and Lauren Fleming. Congratulations. Okay. Relay for Life. This project was designing cards for residents of Hope Lodge. Hope Lodge is a facility that offers cancer patients and their caregivers an opportunity to stay while they're receiving treatment in this particular city. This was headed up by our Councilwoman Andrea Stubbs. We had 19 volunteers for it. You worked that day. Our next project is Shenandoah Helpers. That project, Shenandoah is a retirement community in the southern part of town, and Jen McLaughlin, I don't see her, had brought individuals. She has 6 individuals from the, what do they call it? The Junior Police Academy that had participated, that had volunteered. Due to the weather, they decided not to do that, but they participated in different activities throughout Lewis School because that's the project site for most of our projects, and they helped out. So I want to thank Jen McLaughlin for serving as a project leader. Our next project was Souls for Souls. This is donating used shoes or new shoes that are they're resurfaced and they're sent out to individuals that live in third world countries. And it's through a collection of shoes that are done through our school district, K through 8, and also the community. We had the count, we had 17 boxes of shoes, and the total count of shoes was, I think, 523. And basically what they do is they tie them together, put them in a box them up, and then we deliver them to a facility that sends them over. That team leader was Michael Mignon, and there was 8 volunteers for that. Councilman. St. Vincent de Paul Society. This was organizing inventory and a collection of donations that's made. This individual has been a project leader from day 1, all 5 years. She is an individual that works her registration. An individual, when she's around, I'm calm. Things seem to work okay when she's around. Judy Calabrese. We had 22 volunteers that day. And the last one is the Unforgotten Haven. This is a project that was started by a couple friends. Is located at the old Vinnie's across from the Meadows Diner, where they collect clothes and distribute to individuals throughout the community. Michelle Gambone is the executive director of that program. It's located in downtown Camden. They accept all donations of clothing. If any individuals are in need of clothing, or you know of someone that's in need, please contact her. Michelle Gambone, there was 19 volunteers that participated. She could not be here today, but thank you. There's a few of them that. Just to add to St. Vincent de Paul, she is the day-to-day coordinator of the food bank of St. Agnes. And every time I send her an email and say, we'd like to send some folks over there, they say, sure. And Judy had shared with me a nice write-up that was put in the church bulletin of the volunteers that came. You put them to work, correct? Great. Thank you, Anna. Anna O'Toole, thank you for accommodating us. And there's some individuals from Triton High School that could not be here today. Kevin Pumphrey, Candace Fruman, Kara Fry, Colleen Curran, and Rebecca Vives that help provide individuals for Glendora Firehouse and also for Choose United Methodist Church. This could not work without all the volunteers that we have. And on that particular day, we come together as a community that's wonderful. If you know of any projects that may be of interest to us, let us know, because it becomes more and more difficult each year to find more projects for people to participate in. But if you know of someone or a community that's in need, please contact us. Mary, do you have anything to add?
Well, thank you, and good evening. I see Orlando is bringing back the bow tie.
You asked for it.
I did. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. First and foremost, let me say thank you to all of you for what you do to make this program a success. And I said that day, the day of the program, that I was so very proud to be a mayor of this community that brought out over 500 individuals. Now we've learned it's over 600 individuals to give back to their community. And I think communities are only as good as the people who are in them and contribute to the productivity of those communities. And we're in good hands here in Gloucester Township because of all of you. So I thank you so very much. Whether it is making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for our food banks, or it is cleaning our parks, or it is making toys for animals and cleaning the animal shelter, or making blankets for the women's shelter, each and every one of those activities makes a difference in someone's life. And I can't thank you enough again for taking time out of your schedules to be a part of this and to be a leader in this community. So thank you so very much. And let me thank Council President Mercado for his leadership in putting this together. It would not happen if it weren't for his hard work and his vision and his leadership. So I thank him, and of course our Gloucester Township Public Schools, a great partnership with them, and so I thank them for that. And I am here to announce that we do have school tomorrow as well. So, but thank you very much.
We'll take a 5-minute recess. Can we have all the project leaders up here? They want to grab a quick picture.
Jim.
Okay.
You too, Jim. I'll see you. How are you?
It should come up and it prompts you. Yeah, he showed it to me today in here. Prompts you to agree to something and then you're on. It'll go to whatever your home page is.
Better watch what you agree.
All right? Yeah. If it snows again, I'm going to try not to call the outside contractor anymore. See if we can do it ourselves. No.
Oh, really? Before the workshops or before the regular? Oh, because it was a weekend, right? Oh, really?
I didn't even know.
When that's coming, do you cut down their time? No. I didn't know if you said, yeah.
No, I always too.
You don't want that.
We were doing everything. We did everything we could. Yeah. And then you get the complaints about it. Where do you put it?
No, what if we
Just put it on my side. Okay.
Yeah, the right hand is a little bit on the front of my house. I know. It is a little torn up the wires from the trucks.
I was going to say, soccer players become great, but
You bring it in. A little bit. I'm
Right. Good. Did you go to Michelle Rowan down on the Blackbird bike? Yeah. Do you know that girl was one of the best girls in the country? Running at Washington. Yep.
He called.
You guys good?
We were waiting for you.
Uh-huh.
You made it. Great.
They can jump in. Frank, can you tell Mr. Cron here, Mr. Cron card is?
Hey, we have another slide.
Yeah.
I got to know, I just want to verify.
Madam Clerk, can I have roll call again, please?
Mr. Hutchison? Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Schmidt?
Present.
Mrs. Stubbs? Mrs. Winters? Here. Mr. Mignon?
Here.
Mrs. Strato? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present. We'll have the first public portion. This public portion is for agenda items only. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none, close the first public portion. Bids. Proclamation, excuse me.
All right. Proclamation. Black
Thank you.
History Month. In the centuries since African Americans first arrived on our shores, they have known the bitterness of slavery and oppression, the hope of progress, and the triumph of the American dream. African American history is an essential thread of the American narrative that traces our nation's enduring struggle to perfect itself. Each February, we recognize Black History Month as a moment to reflect upon how far we have come as a nation and what challenges remain. Nearly 100 years after the Civil War, African Americans still face daunting challenges and indignities. Widespread racial prejudice inhibited their opportunities, and institutional discrimination such as black codes and Jim Crow laws denied them full citizenship rights. Despite these seemingly impossible barriers, pioneering African Americans blazed trails for themselves and their children. They became skilled workers and professionals. They purchased land, and a new generation of entrepreneurs founded banks, educational institutions, newspapers, hospitals, and businesses of all kinds. This month, we recognize the courage and tenacity of so many hardworking Americans whose legacies are woven into the fabric of our nation. We honor African Americans whose resilience and perseverance sustain the dream of equality and fairness. We salute those citizens of past generations who rose above the injustices of their time and who empower the residents of this community that change in America is possible. Now therefore, I, David Mayor, and Orlando Mercado, Council President, do hereby proclaim February 2016 as Black History Month. I call upon our educators, librarians, and all the people of Gloucester Township to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities.
Thank you. At our next council meeting, we'll be celebrating Black History Month, honoring individuals that made outstanding contributions to our community here. Bids?
2015 road improvement program and the solid waste collection bid.
Accept the motion.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Ordinances is the first reading. There will be a hearing at the second reading. Ordinance 0-16-05 is a bond ordinance authorizing the acquisition and installation of guardrails along Lakeview Drive in the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey, appropriating the sum of $165,000. Therefore, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey. There was a guardrail that was damaged in an accident, and Mr. Campbell brought that to attention at our workshop. So this will entail replacing the guardrails. In addition to that, Mr. Campbell,
Well,
shoring up the
the guardrails that are out there are below current safety standards. One was damaged badly in an accident, but you need to bring them, especially once you start getting out there doing work on the guardrails, you need to bring them all up to current safety standards. So that means doing the rails that protect all four sides of the bridge parapet along there, getting those out of the way, and making some improvements to the bridge parapet also to get that to the proper standards.
Thank you very much. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Estrada?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Ordinance 0-16-06 is the ordinance of the Township of Gloucester requiring mortgage registration relating to a vacant and abandoned real property mortgages in default and providing for the form of registration and requiring maintenance and security by mortgagees for the care, maintenance, security, and upkeep of the exterior of vacant and abandoned residential property by creditors who have filed a summons and foreclosure complaint regarding residential property within the Township of Gloucester. This is a shared service agreement with the County of Gloucester in which this firm would register abandoned homes in Gloucester Township. One of the issues that we've encountered is we can't find who the owner of that said property is. Mr. Carson, do you want to add to that?
No, I believe it might, I don't know, does it qualify as a shared service or is it a cooperative purchasing?
Well, the ordinance is initiated through that shared service program. They require this ordinance to be of record because the ordinance mandates the mortgage holders of vacant and abandoned properties to register, and that gives them the mechanism to protect deteriorating communities. Once this ordinance is passed, then it's the intent to do the shared service.
Okay, and I believe there's in excess of 15 municipalities in Gloucester County participating in this. We'd be the first outside of Gloucester County.
Thank you. I entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Before I cast my vote, I'd like to applaud the administration, our legal department for this. It's very difficult to live next to a property that's been abandoned. In my development, I believe next to you, Mr. Carlin, or at least a couple houses down, a house was vacant for quite some time. The pool gets a lot of mosquitoes in it, and this summer we're going to have to worry about the mosquitoes with that virus. So I think it's a great job. I vote yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Estrada?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next, we have our consent agenda. Anyone wishing to remove any of the items, please speak up. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
On the question, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs? Yes. Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Estrada?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
67, resolution appointing members to the Gloucester Township Historical and Scenic Preservation.
I entertain a motion.
Second?
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Estrada?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
68, resolution appointing members to the Gloucester Township Municipal Utilities Authority.
I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Estrada?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes, we did not receive any GT eGov access emails. We'll open up the public portion. Anyone wishing to speak, please raise their hand. Mr. Giordano. Oh, yeah, of course, absolutely.
Thank you. Oops. Good evening, Council. How are you doing today?
Good evening.
My name is Hugh Giordano. I live at 57 Argyle Ave, Blackwood, New Jersey, 08012. I'm speaking today. I was at the last executive meeting, the workshop, and I presented Mr. Marcato with this flyer, and you may have received it. The reason that I came to that meeting was I wanted to speak on passing a simple resolution, which would be a non-binding resolution legally, but would set an example for the rest of not only the state but the country. The reason that I presented this idea was there's an issue going on the federal level with the debate commission, presidential debate commission, which is controlled by both the Democratic and Republican parties and private corporations and institutions, which blocks independent and third-party candidates from being in the debates. Now, the issue with that is that when these candidates run for office as third-party and independent candidates, they have to get on enough state ballots to theoretically win the Electoral College. In 2012, there were two candidates that did that, the Libertarian candidate and the Green Party candidate. But because the debate commission is controlled by the two parties and the private institutions, they blocked those candidates and set unfair rules and regulations to get into those debates. Before that, the last independent in the debate was Ross Perot. And after that happened, and he garnered almost 20% of the popular vote, that sent a scare through the two-party system, and that's when they created the debate commission. The League of Women Voters actually pulled out because they didn't want to be part of that. I thought it was unfair not to have qualified candidates. Now, I know that it's a federal issue, and I understand that this body has no power over the federal issue, but it sets an example to not only the state, but to the rest of the country that our township stands for a representative democracy and not a duopoly or oligarchy. There is a federal lawsuit right now in the courts to open the debates, but I do think that on a citizen level, as a voter, as part of the American electorate, I have a problem with candidates having to beg to get into debates when they worked very hard. I know that you guys ran for office, so you understand how hard it is to run for office. You understand the time, the commitment, not only to yourselves, but to your friends and family. So imagine when an independent or a third-party candidate runs on a national level, gets on enough state ballots, but then is rejected from being heard to the American voter. Now, many people might think that, well, this is such a simple thing, who cares if they're not in the debates? But how many times do we see people that are congressmen or senators, but they're never heard of until they get into the debates, and then their polling starts going up? And I believe that, we live in a country where if you have an idea, if you work hard, you do the work, then you should be heard. And different parties bring different voices and different messages. The polling has shown, this is from the Gallup polls, that 6 out of 10, when polled, say, whether they're registered as Democrat, Republican, Independent, or Libertarian, or Green, say a third, fourth, fifth party is needed in this country, that they want to hear more ideas, that they have the right to be on that stage. And in New Jersey, almost half of registered voters are independent or third party. So this is not only just an issue on a federal level, but this is an issue on a local and state level. I understand that people may say, well, third party takes away from other parties. But the issue is that if a person does run, the Constitution allows them to run for office and to basically have a grievance heard. And part of having a grievance heard is to run for office, as why many of you probably ran for office because there were issues that you thought were important. I look at this, it is a civil liberty to vote and to run for office, but it's a civil rights issue when a segment of the population, the voting population, gets banned from being heard and from voting. So what I'm asking the City Council is to pass a simple resolution saying that this body and this township stands up for a representative democracy. This is not a party line issue, this is a voter issue, and a voter's rights issue, and a citizen's issue. We're the only industrialized country in the world that has a two-party system. You go to Europe, you go to South America, you go to Mexico, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 parties. In the past election in England, There were 6 or 7 parties on the stage on national debates, and people got to vote and have a choice. So I think by limiting the debates to 2 parties takes away freedom of speech, and it's our right to stand up for that. So I hope that we can come together and pass this resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Heimbaugh.
Pete Heimbaugh, Morningstar Court. I want to ask more questions following up on the turf field issue that was voted on and approved at last meeting. I did see that the advertisement was published in the newspaper, and apparently it was just for part of the job, just for the stone base work and the drainage work. Is there a reason why the bid advertisement was just for that portion of the job?
I didn't see the bid. I did sign it.
So
I would have to contact Mr. Pettit, and I can give you the answer. Tom, you can help me with that. Contact Mr. Pettit.
and it said that whoever bid on this and received the contract for the base work would work in coordination with this synthetic turf installer. So it sounds like there's 2 different contractors that will be hired to install these.
There are, and he's correct. We're going to purchase the actual fields through a cooperative purchasing agreement. I believe it might be with Middlesex Regional. And then what we need to put out here is the actual construction of the facility, which would entail the laying of the base and all the other things.
So the actual turf installer is already known? I mean,
Our bid is to go out for somebody to put this whole thing together and to set the field up so that it's ready to be installed. You buy the field separately. It's a package, but you have to have an installer.
So we already know who the turf.
We know who we're going to buy the fields from because it's qualified under a state-approved purchasing agreement.
If that's one vendor, so this won't go out for bid. It's just this one qualified vendor.
It already has through the Middlesex
through the
Regional.
cooperative. Through the cooperative.
There's a state
So we know the price. Oh, so we know the price of these fields already. But that's a known. That's a known.
We do. The engineer has estimated the pricing. He doesn't know the pricing of the installation, obviously.
Right. That still has to be bid.
I'm sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Also, I did see. This is for 2 fields. Am I still correct in that? I'm not sure. I got.
It's actually 2 fields with, I believe, 4 alternates.
What does that mean as far as a bid?
Depending on whether bids come back in, if we have a better price, we can expand it to up to 4, correct?
Correct.
So is that why the 2.7 is being bonded?
Correct. The likelihood is going to be 3. I don't foresee that we'll be able to go beyond 3.
And these are all fields that currently exist as grass fields.
They are.
So I have another question related to that. The bid spec design, which Pettit put together, billed Gloucester Township almost $60,000 for this bid spec design. This is to make a bid spec, make a design for a bid spec for fields that already exist, where the dimensions are known. They're already set by the youth athletic.
That's design and inspection.
$60,000 for 2 or 3 or 4 fields that already exist to make a design spec for turf companies and base installers who know what they're doing. I have a feeling these installers don't even need a spec. They've done this so many times and it's already an existing field and the dimensions are given and the field exists, and we've already done the design on these fields when they were built, a dozen years ago at the community park. How would $60,000 be needed to make a design, to spec out a design for these fields that exist? That's turf fields that get installed every day by these firms.
That's roughly 2% of the project.
Well, I'm not talking about percentages. I'm talking about $60,000.
Right. Well, I'm talking about percentages because a typical engineering project would run somewhere in the vicinity of 12 to 15% of the project.
Well, this isn't even for engineering. This is just the bid spec. This isn't even for for installation or engineering or project management or whatever else they're gonna
It
do.
includes inspection. He has to oversee the entire project.
They've already billed for that? How would they bill for that without, we don't know the app? Is that part of the $60,000 inspection? It hasn't even
We drew a
occurred.
straw poll and he was awarded that contract.
I'm talking about we already paid them $60,000. And all we did was send out this little,
We didn't pay 60 yet. We haven't-
I have a bill from them for turf. I asked for the bills for them and I received them under the project artificial turfs.
I don't believe that was paid yet, but
Well-
I'll take a look at it for you.
Well, yeah, it was. So $60,000 for something that doesn't even, it seems to me wouldn't even need to have a spec design, a bid spec design. It's a field that exists. For a turf, to install turf over it
I
that all,
disagree. It needs to be engineered. You need an engineer.
well, this is engineering. This is for the bid spec.
Yeah, you got to, just like Councilwoman Trotter just said, the drainage situation, we have to make sure that this thing drains properly.
Because those the grass fields I know that we play on at Highland are not level.
Well,
So
the
I mean,
installers-
wouldn't the turf field have to be level before you even,
The installers, I'm sure, these installers have dealt with fields that are not level when they walk onto the site every time. This is part of what they do when they install a turf onto a field. Nothing's it's never level, I'm sure.
During, when
$60,000 though.
When Hickstown Park was designed and created, they had engineers.
Absolutely.
Okay. And sometime after that, it was determined, in my humble opinion, that there were significant problems with the park. Yeah, significant. Sinkhole. And I had a problem with that because there was engineers involved the entire way through. And I let them know how unhappy I was. So I look at this situation, and I think it's kind of analogous. We are spending a lot of money installing these turf fields. And I can tell you right now, I couldn't install them. And I'm not going to rely upon somebody who I'm buying these fields from to tell me that it's been installed correctly. Now, maybe you would, but I don't think it's prudent for us up here to spend the town's money and not have professionals from A to Z along the process.
I'm not even talking about A to Z. I'm talking about A. I'm talking about $60,000 for A.
Well, you want to simplify it by saying 60,000.
No, I have the bills here.
All they're doing is they're rolling out some carpet in your idea. And
No,
that's
no,
fine.
I'm talking about $60,000 for the bid spec design.
Okay, Pete. Well, that's my response to you, okay?
Do they submit, one more question related to this. Do they submit time sheets or hours or details to support the billing they do?
There are invoices that they provide that are detailed.
Like- Like time sheets or
Not the time sheets, but not time sheets.
something more detailed than the invoice? And I saw the purchase orders. They have no detail on them. They just say bid spec design.
I'll ask Mr. Carter to take a
I
look.
don't know what he has.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll request that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Ray?
Good evening, Council. Ray Palzor, Ariel. I didn't have any questions earlier in the night. I was going to get set it quick, but some of it arose with your conversation with Mr. Heinball. When Community Park was built, what engineer performed the work to have that field graded?
Shore the Palmer. Still
Okay.
longer.
Now, when it
Not in business anymore.
Yeah, they broke up in different pieces.
said that quick. When Councilman Hutchinson, when you were unhappy about that, what actions were taken during the dirt and natural grass fields were taken by this township to make sure those fields were safe? Or did you consult with an engineer at that time to find out what could be done to the fields, or if it was major enough to make sure these fields were safe from sinkholes, grading, crowned, what have you?
That was before I got on council. I don't remember the exact.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
The engineer, I'm going to say his name, came to our workshop and then refused to come to our workshop anymore because Mr. Bianchini laid into him about the work that was performed there. There were sinkholes that were taking place throughout the park, and in fact, they sent another engineer in his place. But at the time, we held his feet to the fire on particular projects. You recall
Issues
the
were-
conversations? I think?
Issues, if I recall, were the drainage connections of the drains infrastructure. And I think there was some work performed at their cost because of some of the connections were done improperly.
There's a significant cost to that firm, if my memory serves me correct.
Yes.
How many years ago are we talking about that this was noticed till today? When these major problems occurred with the field from the current design? How many repairs were done? How many major repairs were done to upgrade these fields to be satisfactory and or safe?
They got the connections and.
There was I don't mean to interject, but we got pulled in to help. It was a problem with pipelines. Pipelines weren't joined properly to structures and sometimes to each other all throughout. And we had everything televised, got a number of problems. I don't know what the cost was, but we identified the locations where the pipes weren't properly installed. They had to come back, dig them up, reinstall them. It went for some time. It was a good chunk of change right now was spent, and through the ponder of the contract, I don't know who paid for it. If there was ever a resolution dispute who was responsible for it, but it didn't cost the township any money to do that work.
And at that time, were the fields made to satisfactory leveling, crowning, runoff, drainage, all those things? Was the field ever brought back up to specs? Or were we just going to continue to point our finger at a gentleman who ran an organization that's out of business? Were the fields ever made safe? Were they crowned properly? Drainage. Was any of this done up until now? Are we assured of that?
If I may answer.
Please.
I don't believe there's been any issues since that. And that's maybe 7, 8 years ago.
7, 8 years ago, but it was
There's some wear and tear that takes
specifically the,
place.
sinkholes we were looking at, yeah. The fields themselves, I believe, were always,
One of the issues that we have is again, the use of the fields, and that at times that they need to take a breather.
Okay. And the point I'm getting to is that now that a windfall of borrowed money is coming about, we're going to sink that into an engineering firm that's going to give the bid specs. I mean, we're looking at different companies that have done this all over the state, that basically you hire them, they take care of this, and the price is all included. Instead, we're going to send another engineering company out, pay them an enormous amount of money, and again, I don't believe Mr. Heinball's question was answered. 60 grand, really? Hold his thumb out and close one eye and charge us a lot of money? That's what it seems like. And I don't mean to make light of the engineering, but, you know, let's...
You are. You're making light of
No, Mr. Mercado. No, Mr. Mercado. I'm making light of 60 grand when any one of these turf companies would be hired to come in and do that. First off, anybody who's played soccer or has to do with recreational knows that the field has to be crowned and run off for natural grass and or dirt. Also, pretty much the same crowning and runoff for the artificial turf. The only difference being what the base is. If it's not the crushed rubber base and it's something different, then the crown has to be something different for runoff for that particular thing. That's something that these turf companies are already programmed to do.
There is no state contract for installation of the turf fields. It has to go out to bid because it exceeds the bid threshold of $40,000. Bottom line, you need an engineer to do that design, and you need an engineer to oversee that project.
Let me ask this simply.
That's it.
This firm that went out to do this, 60 grand's worth of work, are they a contributor to any political parties and or PACs in this township that you know of?
No, they're the engineer.
Okay. I think it's pretty clear. I think it's pretty clear that had a turf company come in, and let me ask this, does this township know if any of these turf companies have those engineers at their disposal
Still would have had to go out for bid.
for everyday work that they do? I'm sure it would not cost 60 grand. The fact that there's no real good bidding process going on for this turf, we don't know what these companies know. We don't know what they have at their disposal, but we spent 60 grand. Keeping in mind, you borrowed money before you knew how much this was. You borrowed a lot of money before you knew how much this was.
Okay.
It's,
Thank you for your time, Ray.
I'm not done.
Your time's up.
No.
No?
The last thing I'd like to say is that it's a little bit more appropriate to know how much something costs before you borrow. That's what we do. That's what you do when you buy a car. You know how much something costs before you borrow. Don't just give it away, because it's ours.
Is there anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the second public portion. Polling of directors.
Mr. Lechner?
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Chief Earl?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Parliament?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cordus?
I do have something to report. So, as you're aware, we recently, back in August, I believe it was, were in a cooperative purchasing agreement with Cherry Hill for the collection of solid waste and disposal of solid waste. And so, when those bids came in, I looked at them, and I was not happy that there were no economies of scale based on what I had seen 5 years earlier. All the bids were the same, no matter how many towns were combined. And in looking at that, I came back to you and I said, I didn't think the process worked. It didn't function the way it was supposed to. And that was despite the fact that the low bid was only about 1.1% above each year of our prior contract. And so I made that recommendation to you to reject those bids and go back out for bids. So I'm pleased to tell you now that on the 22nd, there'll be a resolution to award a contract to Waste Management. And my calculated savings, because this will be both collection and disposal, is going to be somewhere in excess of $800,000 compared to the bid we received in August, when you combine both the collection and the disposal. So we made out very well.
Are there other towns in the county that went with that bid before?
Most of them awarded. There were a couple that rejected. I think Merchantville rejected. I'm not sure about Winslow, but we were the biggest one to reject.
So by rejecting that bid, going back out,
Yep.
we're going to save approximately $800,000?
According to my calculations, yes.
What time frame would we be saving that?
Over a 5-year period.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. Good job. Thank you, Tom.
Mr. Hutchison?
I've said it a couple of times. Just because somebody stands up to the microphone and rants and says things doesn't mean that they're true. It's tough to sit up here sometimes and take it, and sometimes I give it back. With regard to these turf fields, I believe that we followed the process that we're supposed to follow. It's a legal process, and you can slant, you can distort, do whatever you want, but it's a correct process. As far as an engineer, I think it would be imprudent for us to undertake this type of project without an engineer. And I believe that, Tom, you've calculated approximately 2% of the cost for engineering.
Based on 2.7 million, you're talking 2%.
I mean, one mistake in a project of that magnitude would far exceed the 2%. Now, maybe some people find it acceptable to take that type of risk. I, quite frankly, don't. So, good job. Keep up the good work. Thank you for coming.
Mr. Schmidt?
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening, and thank you for your comments.
Mrs. Stubbs?
I'd like to thank everyone for being here. I also like to thank Orlando Mercado for again acknowledging our township residents for offering their time for the Martin Luther King Day projects that we completed. It's worthwhile when we can get our community to come out and support our community. It brings us together as a whole. In working together, we tend to forge bonds, move in one direction, and I just appreciate that you take the time to acknowledge people and their efforts. So,
Mrs. Winters?
I do want to thank Orlando for the Martin Luther King Day service, all the work he puts into it, and all the team leaders that were out today. I'm not fortunate enough to be able to be there on that day, the day that I can't really take off from work. But it is nice to see all those people band together as a group to get things done around town. And have a great night.
Mr. Mignon?
My accolades to all the team leaders and all the township residents that did come out that day. Also, It was a great experience for me to participate with my two children, Luke and Isabella. They had a great time tying the shoelaces together. It was a wonderful experience. Definitely looking forward to next year. And want everybody to be safe with the upcoming snow coming. Thank you.
Mrs. Estrada?
I echo everyone else's sentiments about Martin Luther King Day. And also be safe with the upcoming snow and have a good week.
Mr. Mercado?
I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Over the last few weeks on Saturdays, usually from mid-January to mid-February, the fire districts in our community invite the mayor and council to attend their fire installation dinners. And it's an opportunity to thank them, our men and women that volunteer their time in our community providing fire service. And it's something that I look forward along with my colleagues, and we're honored to be there attending their installation dinner. Again, I want to thank our project leaders. This doesn't happen. I'm going to steal a phrase from Mr. Bianchini. I just drive the bus and everyone jumps on. And but it's a wonderful event. It'll be bigger and better. And there's some people that in the past have participated that perhaps they'll come back and participate and volunteer in our community. With that, I'll entertain a motion to close, to adjourn. A second? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Have a good evening.
I do, I like it.